what I meant.
Yeah, I thought that's what you meant. Well, actually, I've always been pretty well blessed.
They glittered beneath the Opry lights like rhinestones in motion, but the real treasure shimmered in offstage ledgers, whispered handshake deals, and contracts scribbled on greasy diner napkins. Slip past the velvet rope and breathe the hush of smoky lounges where fried chicken aroma mingled with the fresh ink of publishing checks, where a chorus of cash registers matched the clack of cowboy boots. Tonight we rip open the myth that Nashville's legends were simple troubadours chasing applause alone. Instead, we follow the money, the rumors, and the stunning detours that turned love songs into hidden empires, revealing exactly how 16 icons from the Golden Age converted heartbreak melodies into generational wealth. Dolly Parton understood that glitter draws eyes, but ownership prints money. Back when industry men waved quick cash contracts beneath her nose, she kept the master for "I will always love you," trading a lump sum for an open spigot that poured royalties decade after decade, even when Whitney's powerhouse cover rocked the world. That single stroke of paperwork bought thousands of Appalachian acres and underwrote Dollywood, the theme park that now outdraws many national monuments. When reporters grilled her about wigs and waistlines, she grinned, deflecting attention from the bigger play. Shell companies buying real estate, production units developing streaming films, and a secretive donation that helped fund a life-saving vaccine. Recently, she sold the park's antique steam locomotive, not because she needed the cash, but because the track extension she planned required lighter equipment. To outsiders, it looked quaint. To insiders, it signaled a fresh round of expansion fueled by compound interest. Johnny Cash traded rhinestones for jet black cotton, forging an image so stark that every scandal seemed carved into legend. While stationed in Germany, he reportedly intercepted Soviet radio chatter announcing Stalin's final sigh, a factoid he later sprinkled at parties for icy effect. Stateside, fueled by amphetamine tablets and midnight coffee, he accidentally sparked a California brush fire so large it melted the feathers off endangered condors and singed his own wallet with massive fines. Most careers would crumble, yet the blaze amplified demand. Television executives rushed to sign the Johnny Cash show, and promoters discovered ticket sales spiked whenever fresh chaos brewed. Cash leaned in, performing at San Quentin and Folsom, converting outlaw lore into crossover merchandising, lunchboxes, comic books, even a branded harmonica line. Each headline fed the myth, and the myth kept royalties surging long after the pills were swapped for rehabilitation meetings. Roy Rogers, dubbed the King of the Cowboys, learned early that a Hollywood smile could syndicate dreams far beyond the box office. Between matinee westerns, he inked licensing deals on cap guns, cookie jars, and bedspreads, turning nursery rooms into tiny billboards. Trigger, his golden palomino, received a fan club newsletter and later a full taxidermy treatment that toured malls for fees rivaling chart royalties. Even the chain of Roy Rogers restaurants, opened with fast food partners, paid him a cut on every burger. When his personal museum finally shuttered, the auction block delivered six-figure bids for saddles, while the IRS claimed a hefty slice, yet the estate still sparkled. Rogers proved that a catchy signature tune plus relentless branding could eclipse traditional record sales, prefiguring the influencer economy by half a century. Glenn Campbell wore a friendly grin that masked storm clouds of excess. Television executives loved his wholesome accent, but behind the curtain rumors swirled about all-night jams dusted with coke and broken romances that ended in guitar-smashed hotel rooms. Just when networks considered dropping him, Rhinestone Cowboy shot to #1, and suddenly the grin looked golden again. By the time illness dimmed his picking hand, his catalog and residuals were valued near $50 million. The calm ended when a revised 2006 will slice 3 of his 8 children from any payout. A 14-year legal knife fight ensued, tabloids relished every filing, and streaming numbers rose each month. The saga dragged on, proving courtroom drama can goose catalog traffic as reliably as a new single. Kenny Rogers built his image on gravel-rich wisdom, yet vanity nearly upended the fortune. After a much-publicized facelift softened his rugged edges, fans debated whether the gambler had pushed his luck. While critics snickered, Rogers doubled down on business, franchising Kenny Rogers Roasters across suburbia. The chicken craze boomed, then lawsuits piled up and supply snags scorched margins. As locations shuttered, digital wizards launched limited NFTs of vintage concert footage, pulling a strange new currency back into the family coffers. Rogers passed with parody memes swirling, but the brand endures. A slot machine in Las Vegas pipes his chorus into gamblers' ears, each spin pinging micro-royalties into a trust that still feeds grandchildren's college funds. Tammy Wynette and George Jones lived a soap opera so compelling that tabloids barely needed to embellish. Tammy's mysterious 1978 hospital dash, she claimed masked kidnappers beat her, remains unsolved, with biographers split on whether it hid domestic bruises or a painkiller mishap. Either way, radio spins of "Stand By Your Man" doubled, concert dates sold out, and Jones's lawnmower drive to find whiskey only stoked curiosities. Managers quietly rebranded dysfunction as authenticity, and the couple's duet tours grossed millions. Long after divorce, their intertwining box sets continue to outsell many contemporary acts, proof that Heartache can be recut, remastered, and resold indefinitely. Loretta Lynn never meant to play culture warrior, yet when The Pill hit airwaves, stations pulled it under pressure from church groups. The ban backfired spectacularly, inflating sales and giving Lynn enough leverage to purchase sprawling farmland she jokingly called her insurance policy. Meanwhile, Charlie Pride, country's first black megastar, faced quieter obstacles. He hedged against fickle bookings by buying cattle land and minor league baseball stock. When oil crews surveyed his back pasture, he became a mineral rights partner overnight. Their twin lessons? If the gatekeepers block one revenue lane, buy the road they're standing on and charge tolls later. Patsy Cline's voice poured honey over heartbreak, yet her fortune thickened most after disaster. The 1963 plane crash spawned conspiracy whispers about sabotage, missing insurance forms, and a cursed tour itinerary. Each rumor fueled reissues, box office biopics, and museum exhibits where a single performance dress now commands security lasers. Because she died young, licensing decisions passed to savvy relatives who released just enough unheard acetate each decade to keep revenue fresh without cheapening the brand. Every anniversary brings a wave of TikTok tributes that push crazy back onto streaming charts, making Cline the queen of posthumous comebacks. Jim Reeves understood globalization before the word trended. He toured Africa and Europe in tailored tuxedos, recorded greeting lines in Afrikaans, and cut distribution deals that funneled foreign royalties straight into a Swiss account insulated from fickle stateside markets. After his fatal private plane dive, warehouse clerks found stacks of multilingual masters that RCA dripped into the pipeline for decades, each batch renewing interest in the gentleman crooner. Some speculate a lost bossa nova session still hides in a Rio de Janeiro vault, a rumor that alone keeps collectors bidding. Eddie Arnold sold so many records in the 50s that label executives called him the Hillbilly Sinatra. Instead of stacking cash in a single vault, he purchased undeveloped Nashville acreage, betting on the city's future. By the 70s, those cow pastures bordered new interstates, and developers paid premiums for billboards showing Arnold tipping his hat next to subdivision maps. He bundled the remaining land into a real estate investment trust that still pays quarterly dividends to great-grandchildren who barely know a steel guitar from a Stratocaster. Porter Wagner's suits flashed more rhinestones than a disco ball, but the sparkle masked shrewd syndication math. The Porter Wagner show aired in nearly 100 markets, and he retained a slice of every regional ad spot. When young Dolly Parton joined, viewership surged, and his back-end percentage ballooned, financing a boutique publishing company. He auctioned only a fraction of his wardrobe during lean years, preserving the rest for a museum that turned costume closets into cash registers. Today, fashion designers cite his sharp shoulder silhouettes while paying licensing fees for reference photos. Buck Owens pioneered the Bakersfield sound with twang so bright it cut through radio static, yet his smartest chord change involved television. Co-hosting Hee Haw looked campy to Nashville snobs, but syndication deals meant Owens earned a paycheck every time a hay bale joke aired in small-town rerun slots. He reinvested those checks into an FM radio station, then bundled the station with a catalog sale to a tech giant eager for content. Punk bands later covered Act Naturally, funneling fresh streaming royalties to an estate that already sleeps soundly on Hee Haw residuals. Marty Robbins lived for velocity. When he wasn't crooning about Texas gunfights, he raced stock cars, once slamming head-on into a concrete wall at nearly 200 miles per hour. 37 stitches later, he walked on stage, transforming the crash into promotional gold. Sponsors lined up, paying him to paste decals on guitars the way drivers plaster numbers on fenders. NASCAR clips still package his wreck in highlight reels, each airing sending small but steady checks to a charity he founded for injured drivers. Proof that disaster, when met with grit, can compound like bank interest. Hank Snow's journey from a shack in Nova Scotia to the Grand Ole Opry gave accountants whiplash. He sold 20 million records, but his real wealth came from snapping up international publishing rights while other artists were still demanding tour buses. Mail-order fans from South Africa to Singapore paid in whatever currency they had. Snow's office accepted it all, then flipped odd banknotes on collector markets for premiums. He plowed the proceeds into coastal real estate back home, and now oceanfront vacationers unknowingly rent cottages built on royalty checks from songs older than their grandparents' wedding photos. Patterns appear: own the master, diversify early, and never waste a good rumor. Managers learned that a whiff of controversy spikes ticket sales faster than any billboard campaign, so they cultivated narrative the way farmers rotate crops. Amphetamine arrests, lawn-mower joyrides, and cosmetic surgeries became marketing fuel, each episode producing a fresh harvest of front-page ink and back-end royalties. Insurance actuaries quietly calculated the value of scandal, drafting policies that covered voice strain and reputation damage like Midwestern tornadoes. In corporate boardrooms, suits who once mocked country drawls began quoting these numbers with awe. Today, the income streams multiply in spreadsheets instead of shoeboxes, yet the blueprint remains identical. A viral TikTok of Jolene, sped up to chipmunk pitch, can spike streams by 800% overnight, minting more money than some mid-70s tours grossed in a year. AI isolates vocal stems, pairing Patsy's velvet timbre with a modern EDM beat, while lawyers negotiate moral rights clauses written before transistors. Virtual reality recreates an intimate Ryman auditorium show where Buck Owens quips in spatial audio, tickets priced like Broadway. Every click, skip, and playlist ad funnels micropennies into family trusts that have learned what their parents understood intuitively. Culture is currency and storytelling is the mint. So did fortune free them or forge chains heavier than any steel string? Some legends slept soundly atop stacks of cash, others lay awake counting regrets between royalty statements. Yet all proved one thing: a 3-minute song can purchase an empire if you guard the paperwork and feed the myth. Next time Ring of Fire crackles through a smart speaker or a Dollywood coaster climbs its first hill, remember the invisible gears, copyright law, gossip columns, side hustles, mineral rights, and the perpetual motion engine of nostalgia. The stars may rest, but the ledgers still glow, and the story, your story now, keeps turning. Lean in, hum along, and watch those silent calculators keep perfect time with the old country beat. Behind every autograph line stood a quieter queue of lawyers, eager to slide boilerplate publishing contracts across sticky laminate tables in backstage kitchens. Veterans like Eddie Arnold warned newcomers that a single line buried on page 7 in perpetuity throughout the universe could determine whether great-grandkids vacationed in Tahiti or stocked produce at Kroger. Dolly, ever the student, traveled with a magnifying glass and a battered legal dictionary circling clauses while hairdressers teased her wig. Glenn Campbell hired forensic accountants who could spot a missing quarter in quarterly statements the way a bloodhound scents a breadcrumb. The true competition in Music City was not who could hit the highest note, but who could decipher the smallest asterisk. Life insurance salesmen haunted green rooms like stagehands. After witnessing young stars perish in shaky aircraft, underwriters perfected tailored policies that bundled aviation clauses with performance cancellation riders. Patsy Cline's tragedy turned actuarial tables upside down, doubling premiums overnight. In response, Jim Reeves negotiated a policy that paid extra if his death occurred mid-tour, guaranteeing crew salaries, so reputations stayed intact. Loretta Lynn pushed for a clause allowing her to designate scholarships for rural girls, should anything happen en route to a show. These documents, morbid as they seemed, functioned as both safety nets and marketing props. Headlines about million-dollar coverage whispered value louder than any billboard on I-40. Back in the 60s, disc jockeys ferried brown bags stuffed with singles, and sometimes actual cash, to rival stations, fueling the infamous payola scandal. Fast forward to today, and the brown bag is a metadata tag, a liner release with the right playlist curator, and your streams skyrocket, all perfectly legal. George Jones, if alive, would likely pay a TikTok influencer in iced lattes to choreograph a two-step to White Lightning. Buck Owens might sponsor an esports tournament, plastering his grin across virtual bleachers. Same hustle, different interface. The only constant is that exposure leases space in the listener's mind, and rent is due daily. Estate lawyers now form their own mini Opry, trading war stories in mahogany conference rooms. Glenn Campbell's battle was loud, but private skirmishes over demo tapes or publishing splits erupt weekly. One granddaughter wants a TikTok dance, a distant cousin prefers limited vinyl. The executor juggles both while calculating tax implications. Dolly preempted such chaos by filming a holographic will in which she jokes, sings, and clarifies distribution down to the last wig stand. Kenny Rogers included a clause forbidding any posthumous deepfake performance that presented him without a beard. The fine print grows finer each decade. Proving control of one's likeness may outlive the heart that drove the art. Tour operations resembled military campaigns, portable merch tents packed with shot glasses, Bible verse fridge magnets, and limited edition vinyl moved from town to town in 18-wheelers. Dolly's crew once calculated that t-shirts alone during a single 3-month run could fund the entire next album's studio time. Charlie Pride, aware that some venues still segregated audiences, printed rainbow-colored program booklets to underline inclusivity, selling out within minutes. When credit card swipers replaced shoebox cash drawers, average per-head revenue tripled, and trucks added climate-controlled chambers to protect fragile picture discs from Arkansas humidity. The digital renaissance arrived like a second debut. Catalogs long out of print found new life when remastered at higher bit rates, targeting audiophiles prepared to pay premium subscription tiers. Blockchain enthusiasts minted virtual backstage passes. Holders received access to unreleased rehearsal tapes where Tammy flubbed lyrics and laughed harder than any sitcom track. Fans paid 4 figures for the privilege. Critics labeled it cynical, yet Proceeds funded music therapy programs in rural hospitals, echoing the manner in which Roy Rogers once auctioned Trigger for children's charities. Technology, it turns out, can wear a white hat too. So what do these money trails mean for artists posting bedroom covers today? Study Dolly's refusal to rush a deal, Kenny's willingness to pivot when chicken cooled, Patsy Cline's relatives' discipline in slow-dripping content, and Buck Owens' love affair with syndication. Understand that fame drafts no pension. You must write your own. Diversify before your knees ache. Buy dirt while it's dusty, and treat every mishap as potential lore. Most importantly, remember that the song itself remains the seed. Plant it in the richest soil you can find. Copyright protection, fearless storytelling, and perhaps a hint of mystery, and watch generations harvest fruit you will never taste. That, more than any glittering
Yeah, I love
Opry
the
spotlight, is
Well,
the
actually,
truest
I've
form
always
of
been pretty
immortality
well
country
blessed.
music ever promised. Numbers alone cannot hum a melody, yet they decide whether a catalog gathers dust or gallops into a new century. 16 legends proved that the ledger can be as lyrical as the lyric, decimals dancing, royalties repeating like choruses, interest accruing in a slow dobro slide. Balance sheets tell stories of pickup trucks turning into private jets, but they also caution that a missed renewal date can erase a childhood home. If this journey leaves you with anything, let it be the awareness that art and arithmetic are partners, twin strings on the same guitar, vibrating together forever through triumphs and failures.